Questions, questions, questions. We get a lot of them. So welcome to the first edition of the Learning Lumatone Q&A, where I'll answer some of the ongoing questions you all write in with or post. So let's knock a few inquiries off the list. So, seeing how this is a brand new kind of instrument, there's understandably going to be a lot of questions. And while we've been answering a lot of these throughout the video series, I thought we'd quickly go through some of the most frequently asked ones just right here. We will do these periodically, so feel free to send in your questions for the next round. All right, so let's get to it. First up, and one that comes up quite a bit, why doesn't it make sounds of its own? This was a very conscious choice. We all love different sounds, and there are countless amazing virtual instruments and synthesizers and sample sets out there already. They didn't think it was wise to, reinvent the wheel and make the Lumatone sound like something. Instead, it's sound agnostic, you could say. At its heart, Lumatone is a MIDI controller. It lets you trigger and control any sound your heart desires. This could be sounds that are all based in MIDI sound libraries or virtual instruments in your DAW, or use it to control any digital or analog synth that has MIDI capabilities. We are all different, and the Lumatone is about how you play, not so much what you play. Which leads me to my next question. It's just a MIDI controller. Why does it cost so much? Man, it is pricey, isn't it? I can't argue with you. It's almost 4,000 bucks. That's no small chunk of change. But we know the Lumatone is special. It's taken the concept of a controller and expanded upon how we go about performance to include isomorphism, microtonality, and enhanced expression. But it's totally fair to ask ourselves why a Lumatone costs so much to make and sell. So let's find out. I went straight to Dylan Horvath, the man who designed and engineered it, for the answers. And here's what I learned. The goal of the Lumatone was not just to enable microtonality, isomorphic layouts, but it was to do all of that without compromising a playing experience that's as close to the feel and action of a real keyboard key. Other keyboards resort to, touch surfaces or insensitive buttons to achieve this, and the result is something you can't really pour your heart and soul into, and Lumatone wasn't willing to compromise on this. Each Lumatone key is comprised of a pin, a trunnion, a torsion spring, a neodymium magnet, an addressable color LED light, a keycap, a key arm, its own Hall effect sensor, a rubber bumper, and an expressive aftertouch pad. And yes, that's a lot of things most of us don't understand, but Google tells me that 280 of those ain't gonna be cheap. And on top of that, around 50 individual staff are involved in manufacturing and quality assuring each keyboard. I have a crush on other beautiful and forward-thinking MIDI controllers out there too. And they all reinvent what we've come to think of as MIDI controllers in their own way. Like, take the Hawken Continuum. Such a cool concept and a fine piece of machinery. It costs more than a Lumatone, but if it's something you want, then I am sure that just like a Lumatone, it is worth every penny. But the best thing about a Lumatone is that it's a Lumatone. And as someone who plays one, I am grateful that it is built how it's built. Where is the map sharing section on the website? And why is it taking so long? Okay, yeah, this question's coming in a lot, and I get it. I am also extremely excited for this feature. The idea that we all have a place to go to share our ideas, our mappings, our tunings, our color schemes will undoubtedly be an easy access point for explorations. And will give us all a place to strengthen and expand the Lumatone community as a whole. It's gonna be great, and it's absolutely coming. The thing is, it's not as easy as building a MySpace page. There's just a lot of technical and logistical steps in building a space where we can share and display complex layouts like Lumatone mappings. And I'm not gonna pretend I know how it's done, but I have asked numerous times, and it's definitely coming. And I can tell you that they are actively working on it right now, and the announcement will be loud and clear. Okay, next up is a series of questions that is directed towards me personally, and I thought I'd address. Does Dave wear a hairpiece? That must be a hairpiece. Where does this guy buy his hairpiece? That hairpiece is very distracting. How many hairpieces does he go through a month? Why did this dude choose a gray hairpiece? Who does this guy think he's fooling with his hair? Is that hairpiece made from human hair or a grizzled old stallion? Hairpiece, 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 hairpiece. Come on, we deserve to know, is the man wearing a hairpiece? Well, I thought we'd address this in the simplest way possible. We're gonna leave this a mystery. Okay, next question. Why doesn't Microtonality just work out of the box? And will it ever? So in a lot of ways, Microtonality is already really easy to set up. But we will be exploring this more in the videos ahead. And I've touched on it in my Making Sounds video. So it's a great question. Right now, if you want to use microtonal mappings, you have to use a synth or a virtual instrument that supports microtonality, with the exception of some great third-party software that'll let you globally tune your virtual instruments microtonally within your DAW. But will we ever be able to play a wider variety of sound sources right out of the box and define what note we want each key to play right inside Lumatone software? The answer is yes. I think this might be the first time anyone's announced this, but the folks over at Lumatone are building firmware and software updates for your Lumatone that will enable onboard microtuning via MPE and pitch bend, as well as further improvements using MIDI 2.0. These improvements will be game changers. You know, the updates will allow us to assign pitch to any given key instead of just a MIDI note number, and all within the Lumatone software. This will allow us to bake tunings right into a Lumatone preset and not have to set it up in any given software instrument. And you're gonna be able to update your existing Lumatone via a simple firmware update to enable this functionality. This will be huge, and it is coming. They tell me this year. All right, another common question here. Why are there no knobs or faders for CC control? Well, this is part of the beauty of this instrument. It gives you the choice to put a fader anywhere on the board by transforming any of its 280 keys into a continuous controller. This results in super flexible and new innovative ways to use your CCs, turning them into just another part of performing with your 10 fingers. So if you're not aware, Lumatone has 3 different modes of expression: continuous controllers, polyphonic aftertouch, and Lumatouch, which is exclusive to the Lumatone. I did separate videos on all 3, so check those out if you want to get a rundown on how they work. All right, last question here. Will you ever introduce a payment plan? Lordy, do I have good news for you, because payment plans have indeed been announced. You can now lease to own your Lumatone with monthly payments, you know, spreading the cost of the purchase out over the year, and you'll own it in the end. And I'll stop there before this, starts to morph into an infomercial. But I will leave a link in the description below this video so you can read through the deal, because it is actually a really good deal. All right, we will leave it there for now. But as I said before, we will be doing these periodically, so don't be shy in sending in your questions. Lumatone reads every single one, and they love your feedback. They genuinely take your input and inquiries to heart, including anything you want to say about my hairpiece. So go ahead and hit like and subscribe, because more videos are on the way, and we'll see you then.